All right, welcome to Stack episode 2. Went live yesterday on YouTube and Spotify. Named the channel. The reason we're calling it Stack is because we want to stack the wins, the daily decisions, the habits to ultimately become the person that we want to be over time. I want to be an incredible communicator. I want to be a pro. I want to be great at sales. These are things that I do in my day-to-day job. And I set a resolution and a goal to practice every single day. And another one of my goals is 10,000 steps. And while I'm getting these 10,000 steps on walks that vary in length and in time, I typically have started to get ideas, which is amazing. And my brother and I talked about starting a podcast. And so I just thought, why not go ahead and do this and put something out there, 5 to 10 minutes every single day, a thought, an idea, and work on my communication, work on my ability to convey a meaning and an idea with an audience. And so in the last video, I mentioned that there's 5 daily disciplines that I have chosen, 5 little things that I'm going to do every day that stack up over time. This is one of them. Another one of them is the 10,000 steps, Whole Foods, reading to my kids daily, and then 555, really one thing for the spiritual side in the Word, worship, and prayer. And so here's what I know is that your disciplines, while maybe a discipline at first, and those are things that you do that are tiny and they should be tiny, they become your habits, and your habits become your lifestyle. My brother and I were talking about this yesterday on the phone. I just got done with work and we were talking through this idea of disciplines and habits and lifestyle, and how there comes a point where the discipline is not a discipline anymore. It's just part of who you are. So for example, I go to the gym, and there was a time where going to the gym was a discipline, but it's not on my list because it's who I am now. It's what I do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to be motivated for it. I love it. It's actually become a joy to me. But there was a day when the discipline of going to the gym was not a joy. It was actually quite the opposite. And when I was in high school, I was 17 years old. I had lots of addictions. I was not saved. I'd gotten saved, and my mind was just a mess. And I read this verse that says, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, to not be conformed. Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the question I asked was, how do I do that? And my mom actually introduced me to a neuroscientist named Dr. Caroline Leaf, who done research that showed that thoughts weren't just things floating in the ether, that they were actually real structures inside of your brain that you could change, and that's where neuroplasticity comes from. And what we found out through research is that it takes 21 days to break down a habit, which I had a lot of bad habits, and it takes 63 days to build a new one. And so for 21 days, you have to abstain from something, at the same time building something that when you get to 63 days, it becomes habit. So really, disciplines, if we do it right, are only going to be disciplines for 63 days, and then they become habit. And then I don't know how long the timeline is, but after habit, they become part of your lifestyle and they become part of who you are. And I think what's really important when choosing your disciplines and your habits is that these are going to become who you are. So why not think about who you want to be in the beginning? I want to be a great father. I want to be a great husband to my wife. I want to be a great employee. I want to be a great business owner. I want to be a great Christian. I want to be a great follower of Christ. And so there's things that followers of Christ do. There's things that fathers do. And I had this picture in my head of who I want to be in 60 years, right? Who do I want to be a long time from now when my day is over and I'm not working anymore? And maybe, I kind of have this almost morbid, but, vision of myself kind of in my home on my deathbed. Maybe hopefully I'm 80 or 90, and there's a room full of people that love and adore and cherish me and are thankful for the investment that I've put into their life. And when I think about that, Josh, a long time from now, I think about, what does Josh today need to be doing? And I want the Josh in the future to be proud of the Josh in the past. And I know that that's a little bit weird, and people may not think that way, but I really do. When you start a project, you want to start a project with the end in mind. And we do this for business. We do this for our employers. We do this for work and for money, but we often don't do it for ourselves. And we kind of treat ourselves and put ourselves on the back burner. But I know that my employer, I know that my wife, I know that everyone that's depending on me is not going to get the best me unless I work on me. And so with the end in mind is how I've crafted these 5 daily things, right? The reading, the prayer, the worship, spending time with my kids, Whole Foods, all of that stuff. It's with the end in mind. And I would say that when you're picking your 5, understand that whatever you pick as your 5 as a discipline will become a habit, and then it becomes a lifestyle. So pick carefully, and your lifestyle becomes part of who you are. For example, I don't have to think about going to the gym. I don't have to think about it. It's who I am. It's what I do. There's no effort involved anymore. It's just what I do. Reading to my kids, I want to be a father that pours into them, that invests into them. So that's why I've chosen that. Because if I'm not careful, I will pour into my business, I will pour into my work, I will pour into everything else, and then get home and be tired and watch TV or go to bed. But having the discipline of reading to my kids, it's not about reading to my kids. It's about who I'll be. It's about the person that I'll be, a father who spends intentional time with his children, pouring into them. And it can be a kid's book. Lately, it's really in the Bible, been going through Psalms with them. They don't know what it means, but they love it. They love spending time with Dad. And so beginning with the end in mind is really important. Reverse engineering. Don't choose your disciplines haphazardly, because your disciplines become your habits, and your habits become your lifestyle. And so figuring out who you want to be and what you want to be is just as important as what I'm doing today. And there's going to be a time where you have to sit down, get a journal out, and write down, who am I in 10 years? Who am I in 50 years? And really take the time to think about this. Really take the time to pray, to search, to seek. What is inside me? What is the giftings, the talents that I want to develop, that I want to grow? What are the desires that I have? What kind of man or woman or father or husband or wife or mother do I want to be? And then what does that person that I have envisioned in the future, what does that person do now? What do they do now? And the other thing I would say, and this is what I'll end with, is, if your disciplines become your habits, habits become your lifestyle. You're never going to get to habit if your disciplines are extremely difficult. I have a friend, and I love him so much, but he chooses daily disciplines that are almost impossible. And I would call these maximums. Maximums are something that only happens on the best days, under the best circumstances, with the most energy and the perfect resources. Really, disciplines should be minimums. And minimums are things that you can do on the worst days, with the worst weather, with no resources, but are things that you can actually stack, aka the name of this channel, over time, getting 1% better, as James Clear would say, in Atomic Habits. And so, really excited to do this. Thank you guys for joining. This is the end of episode number 2. We'll go live on YouTube and Spotify January 10th. It's 11:55 a.m. Going to get this out as quick as I can. Thank you guys so much. Can't wait to see what this becomes over time and how I develop as a communicator, how I develop on camera, how I develop over time, and hopefully you are developing as well. And just remember this, your disciplines become your habits, and your habits become your lifestyle. So choose your disciplines wisely. Have a good one. Thank you. Goodbye.